This video is going to be comparing the Madea franchise, which is currently put out 13 movies, to the Sherlock Holmes franchise, which has put out a lot of movies going back a long time. If you think about it, Sherlock Holmes is one of the iconic characters out there. Definitely one of the most iconic detectives, without a doubt. I mean, everybody knows Sherlock Holmes. Everybody has heard about Sherlock Holmes before. Even if you haven't seen a lot of the movies, you have some level of familiarity with this character. Now, if you look at the highest Rotten Tomatoes score for each franchise, oh man, not a lot of the Madea films are actually fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. In fact, out of 13 movies, only 2 of them are even fresh, and one of them only has a 61%. So the only one of these movies that actually got a really good score on Rotten Tomatoes is this animated film called Medea's Tough Love that has an 85%. Now, when you look at Sherlock Holmes, highest score would be a 100% for this movie called Woman in Green. It came out quite a good amount of time ago. Are there any other of these movies for 100%? No, it doesn't look like there are. And then when you look at lowest score for each franchise, in the case of Sherlock Holmes, let's see here. You got a lowest score is a 20% for this movie called Speckled Band, along with Paramount on Parade that came out a long time ago, like back in the 20s or 30s. But when you look at the Madea franchise, you got some films here with pretty low scores. In fact, this movie called Boo 2 Madea Halloween only has a 5%. Yikes. So Sherlock Holmes wins again. Then when you look at average score, this one is not even close, honestly. Sherlock Holmes average of 63, which sure isn't fantastic, but it's definitely good. Madea only has an average of 31. Then when you look at gap between lowest and highest score, you got a gap of 80. In the case of Madea, you have a gap of 80 actually as well in the case of Sherlock Holmes. So, okay, you have a tie here, but because Sherlock Holmes already won 3 rounds, it's going to win regardless of my personal opinion. And this one's actually not hard in any way. This is extremely obvious. Yeah, of course I prefer Sherlock Holmes franchise. First of all, I actually have seen at least a few of these movies. Not a ton of them, but I've seen a few of them. I've seen the 2009 live-action Sherlock Holmes movie with Robert Downey Jr. I've seen this movie from Disney called Great Mouse Detective, which basically is about Sherlock Holmes. It's about a mouse whose name is not literally Sherlock Holmes, but with the actions that we see him undertake throughout the movie of him doing this investigation, he is that character. Basically, we see him do this investigation the way that Holmes would, and he has a character who basically is his Dr. Watson, and then he's facing off against this villain. So the movie's not literally called Sherlock Holmes, but it basically is a version of Sherlock Holmes. And those are the only ones I've seen at the moment. But, however, I've actually been to this Sherlock Holmes exhibit at the Minnesota History Center. I went there with my dad 2 different times, actually. We had a great experience of going to that one temporary exhibit there. I don't know if that exhibit's still up at the moment, but I remember we had a lot of fun, got really invested in this mystery game that we played. I know that one of the iconic lines from the story is, "Elementary, my dear Watson, elementary." I quite enjoyed that 2009 movie with Robert Downey Jr. I thought it did a good job of capturing the spirit of this franchise, of the character. The acting was really good, the story is engaging, it looked good. I quite enjoyed Great Mouse Detective as well. And when it comes to Madea, to be honest, I can't say much about this franchise because I know pretty much nothing about it at all. All I can say is, well, not a lot of these movies were received very well. Whereas with Sherlock Holmes, of course, you've had movies that haven't been received as well. That is going to happen when you put out as many movies as Sherlock Holmes, but quite a good amount of them were received well. So this one is no contest. I easily am going to say Sherlock Holmes. That'll wrap things up for this video.